Like I was not okay, but I had the face on.
But inside you're like, I'm a fucking wreck.
I don't remember my 20s because all I did was like head down work for like the validation of others. You're telling me I worked so hard for this and you don't even care?
Right. Whatever the thing is that's bothering you, you get in that ice bath and you don't think about any of that shit. Literally, you're just trying not to die.
Doing something you don't want to do that sucks.
Right.
To show you that you can do anything. That shit changed me.
I was thinking back to when you and I met and you sent me your form to be on your podcast when you were doing movement MVMT. And the amount of questions I answered, I remember I was like sitting in my small Chelsea apartment and I'm telling my wife, Libby, I'm like, this is crazy. This intake form is like, am I signing up for health insurance right now? Am I getting like admitted into like an inpatient program? It was intense.
It was extensive.
Yeah. And we never ended up recording it. So I always thought we should do this still. Like we should still have this conversation. And this was like 2019-ish, I'm guessing, when you and I met, like 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
So a lot has happened since then.
Yeah.
You're kind of like the New York City, like Queen of Cold, as I've heard people call you, Ice Cold Club, you know, all these different things. So I'm honored to have you here. I'm honored to talk to you. Thanks for making the fucking trek from Brooklyn to here. No city bike, subway. You took the subway, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
I don't take the subway anymore. I used to. I don't want to sound bougie or anything, but I just kind of don't want to risk anything these days.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for coming.
I should have brought the intake form. That would have been good. If I was like,
like
I'm going to interview you.
It was like 15 pages.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Well, because I wanted to get really deep with people.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see how far they would go on the writing. So I didn't push anyone.
Yeah. You have a side to you that goes like super hard. Like you have a side level to you. Like I don't see it all the time because we're always like jamming out on like collaborative fun workshops and stuff. But like I see this like level to you that's like competitive, tough, gritty. I mean, there's a warmth and love there too. And that's what I get from you all the time, only, exclusively.
Yeah.
But then I'll see this other gear that you have. And I'll just kind of see it as like a spectator. I've never been on the receiving end of it, but you have this like level. And I think, and this is obviously just me observing, but like, I think it's like the gift and the curse with you. Like where like in some ways it makes you like superhuman in the space of wellness. And like you started in this, what were you, 18?
19.
Yeah. And you've like come a long way.
Yeah.
And then in other ways, it's like, you gotta like calm the fucking beast.
Yeah. That was beginning fitness, my career in fitness. It was drop out of college. I have nothing else to do really. I don't know what I'm doing.
You went to college. I wasn't even sure. I thought you went like straight from high school to like fucking Equinox.
No. I went to 1 year in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
It was the furthest I was allowed to go from my house.
Okay.
6-hour drive.
All right.
To the cold.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know,
Pittsburgh I don't like Pittsburgh is like not cute as you would love to say. Like
they were like 2 feet of snow on the ground. They were like, "Come to class." What do you mean? I hate the cold. You know.
Yeah. I know.
I had a miserable time. I had actually come home because I had a very severe mental breakdown.
Okay.
And I was hospitalized. Let's go right into it. Right?
Why not?
It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so after that, I didn't really know what to do. I went to like take some classes at this local school for a while. And then I ended up moving to Hoboken. I was a nanny for like 4 families. Wow. And at the time I was taking yoga teacher training on the weekends.
Like little kids?
Little kids. Oh, I love nannying. It was so cute. It was the most serendipitous. Like I had twins. And I was telling them, I was like, listen, I've only done like 7, my cousins, like 7-year-old up.
And you're like 19, 20?
19. This lady was like, it's fine. Like, I'm about to have this other baby. Like, she had twins. She's like, I need your help.
I need help.
She's
I don't
literally
give a
like,
shit who it is.
My kids don't cry around you, so you're hired. So I got that job and I had the twins and we would go to like music class. It was so fun. But I was literally like, I was a baby. And so it was pretty obvious I wasn't the mom, but like, who knows? Like, to each their own.
Yeah.
And it was my last day with the twins. I didn't know what I was going to do next. And this woman comes up to me and she's super pregnant. She's like, my son really loves you. Like, is there any way like you have some extra time? Like, even a day. And I was like, literally, this is the last day of this job. And I got the next job the next day. It was just so, once I got on that path of like, college wasn't for me, I really felt uncomfortable there.
Yeah.
things just started
Were you supposed to be playing
click.
sports in college?
I
Because I know
didn't.
you're a high school athlete.
Yeah, I didn't. I was never good enough to do. Maybe I could have done D3, but I went to a D1 school.
Yeah.
I was good at tennis, but never good enough.
Yeah.
Story of my fucking life. But
not
it
true.
was just not
Yeah.
like, they were like, you could join a club team. And I was like, what am I doing this for?
Right.
And also as a woman, like I played basketball as my main sport. That was the most time
Yeah.
I put into anything. That is changing now, which is
Yeah.
beautiful to watch. But at the time, like, what are you going to play in the WNBA? Like,
Right.
first of all, I'm not tall enough. Second of all, you would need another job, if not two.
Yeah.
It wasn't a
Right.
career path. It wasn't a
Right.
viable thing. Women's sports has come such a long way
Yeah.
since then, obviously. But it was like, I was at this point where I was like, how many hours of my life did I spend in basketball camps, practice, drills, doing all these things for what?
Right.
Like for literally what? And it was really discouraging. And I was in this business course because my dad was like, well, you got to study something practical.
Right.
And these kids were wearing like suits to seminars freshman year. I was like, this is not for me. Like,
Right.
I'm not really get me out of here.
Right.
But
did you know, like, once you got to school, like your parents dropped you off and you knew immediately in the dorms, you're like, I don't like it here. I can just tell this isn't going to work. Or you tried to like kind of muscle through in the beginning?
I had lived on my own already for so long. When my parents separated, I moved in with my dad and kind of had like free reign. Like I would do the grocery shopping. I would clean the bathrooms. Like I ran the household. And so this for me was like weird. I was like, we're being babysat because most kids didn't have that experience.
Right. Yeah,
so I was like, I want my own like apartment. I don't want to, don't tell me when to go to class. Don't tell me what to do.
Right.
I was already on that wavelength. And so like, it was just a series of unfortunate events that led to being like, get out. This is not for you.
Yeah. And also you're taking on a lot to be responsible at that age for a parent, for a household, all of that shit. And you're coming into college, you're like, all right, now be free, be you. And you're like, who the fuck am I?
I don't know that girl. Like I was never like the let loose girl. Like really no. It was funny, after I left college for the first year, I went like a house music phase, if you will.
Okay.
I went to a lot of concerts, really concentrated, concentrated. And it was the first time in my life I was like, oh my God, I could have fun. And I'm not like a bad kid.
Right.
I was very like hyper aware of perception of me, which is funny to think back on because it's like, I was perceiving what I imagined others to perceive. Like the reality of it wasn't there.
Right.
Like I never sat down and be like, what do you think of me? Do you think I'm a good kid? It was just, I think everyone thinks I'm the worst. And so I'm going to try to be good enough.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
I just want to give her a hug.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Yeah.
So then you started working with kids, and then when did like fitness or wellness or whatever you want to call it start to kind of come into the picture then?
Well, it was all I really knew how to do. And at the time, it really was not chill to not have a college degree.
Yeah.
You needed it for everything.
Yeah.
People were not, like, my parents were mortified. They were, like, embarrassed to talk about me. And I had this, like, chip on my shoulder among, like, 7 others that already existed there. And I was like, I'm going to kill it. Like, whatever. So I became a yoga teacher. I did, like...
So yoga was first?
Yoga was first. And it's an investment.
Yeah.
Like, it's thousands.
2,000
more
hour trainings.
200 hour, yeah. Yeah, 2,000 hours.
2,000, I don't fucking know.
I don't know what time it is. What's time? It was a lot. I got hired by the studio, which was like the thing. Like 2 of like 30 of us got hired.
Yeah. Wow.
$25 a week is what I made from that. I was like, well, how am I supposed to do this?
Living at home still.
Living in Hoboken. So I would take the train by myself, obviously. I'm
Into
an adult,
the city.
but still, like a subway train at 5 a.m. is like not cool. It was like a 45 to an hour trek to get there.
Where was the studio?
Stanton Street.
Okay.
In the Lower East Side.
Yeah.
It was a great studio. It was a great place. And it really humbled me because the instructors were not competitive. It wasn't like this athletic shit that I was so used to. Like I walked into my first yoga class at this gym, like locally, and I was like, how do I win? Like, how am I going to win this class?
Right.
And I did. I'll tell you I did.
I was going to say, I've been to yoga classes and I've seen winners.
You know the winners. And that was me. And the teacher would like contort me in different things. And I was like, oh, I'm good at something. And so I think I probably led into that path. But I was like, how am I supposed to survive on $25 a week?
Yeah.
That was literally it. And so I knew about... I heard about Equinox and I did their course. They don't have this thing anymore, but it was like a course you could study with them and then you could maybe get hired and you would get the money back, like a reimbursement. My parents were like,
so you have to pay for the course
to
basically
front.
Be a trainer there.
Yeah. Maybe get hired.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
it was a lot. I was like, my parents were not down to just be like, here's a
No,
check.
they were like, you just got to go back to fucking school
like,
and
figure it out.
Yeah, get a degree.
Yeah. So I just had no other choice. Like it would have crushed my soul to like move back home after that.
Yeah.
Because I had, at the time, my self-worth was based in what other people thought of me.
Yeah.
It very recently shifted. I'll tell you that. But it was like last week. But it was, who do you think I am? And am I good enough in your eyes? And you're already telling me I'm not, because I already dropped out of school. Like I'm stupid. I'm not good enough. I'm not whatever, all these things. And so I had to prove to everyone.
Yeah.
And this was a time period where I didn't listen to my inner self at all, my inner guidance. Like I never did anything for me.
Right.
I was so disconnected from my own intuition, my own feelings.
Were you like on medications too? Because you mentioned you've been an inpatient and stuff.
Yeah. So due to that, when something like that happens, they are just trying to keep you alive. So they give you a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I hated that feeling.
Yeah.
And so I'm well aware that what I would have taken outside of that facility would have been a different experience. I didn't like the fact that I wasn't in control of my thoughts. Like I was sitting there like coloring, like brain dead, and just like, I was like, never again.
Yeah.
So I vowed to like do it myself and feel the things. And I just have like an intense capacity to feel.
Yeah.
And that led to like putting up a lot of walls because I didn't like to do it. And it led me to be an angry girl. Like I would rather, like I could curse you out like nobody's business. Yeah. And that was just a mask for my sadness. Yeah. I was so scared of getting hurt, and I would just attack first.
Wow.
So that's what I was on.
Yeah,
it was a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, that served me so well because my mom, bless her heart, but she's a funny lady. The day before I started my Equinox job, I got hired at the West Village.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I know. Listen, I'm sure when you said I take the course, they only hire a certain amount of people. So I'm like, she got in.
Well, okay, but you know this me. This me was non-existent.
Yeah.
I was like quiet. I was like goody two shoes, like class.
Right.
Whatever. But I was not talking. I was not social. I was scared of everyone. And she calls me. She's like, Lauren, like, and this is her love. Okay. Her love language is this. Hey, like I was looking on Glassdoor, Indeed, or some shit like that.
Right. She's trying to find.
She's like trying to help. She's like, it looks like you need to be really social to like do this job well. I don't think you should even.
Wow.
Like, I think you should start looking for alternatives. And I was like, what? But okay, but me at the time was like, okay, let's go. Fuck you.
Right. I'm going to show you.
I got it.
Right.
Like, so I did walk into that gym like it was my job to be the mayor. And I
lit up the room.
Shit my pants every day. But I had all these little like tricks and tools. And like, I would remember people's names. I'd be like, oh, John, how was your kid's baseball game? Because I would go in the back and I would write things down on receipt paper. Yeah. And I'd have like a list of all these people and their things. And I just played the fucking game so hard.
How'd you learn? Did you like read the Dale Carnegie book on how to like make friends and like win people over? You just knew to like, because there's tricks. There's like, I mean, you intuitively knew if I knew his name and remembered some shit about him, he's going to like me. Yeah.
Well, my initial boss gave that advice to be the mayor.
So he read Dale Carnegie.
She did, yeah.
She did.
So she knew, and I am just like authority, like me, love me, like please.
Yeah.
And I was the most hated. Like if you worked at Equinox
from your colleagues, from your friends.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I was a little like I was fucking oh god. I was this little like 19-year-old blonde yoga chick walking in my Lululemon like all this shit. And I literally in a first meeting, this was like the start. I was like, do we have to pick up the dirty towel? I was like, this is so gross.
Valley girl kind of vibe.
Yeah. So I don't blame anyone. If when you and I work together and you didn't like me, I'm so sorry to you. But I'm a different person. Like, we all grow and evolve.
Yeah,
anyway,
course.
I just didn't care because I was like, my job is to make the clients like me. And I was really good at just being a chameleon. Give me a goal line. Right. I was like what is it? Employee of the month my first month.
Wow.
They had to like ask about promoting me early because I would hit the numbers too fast.
Wow.
But success was measured by quantity of sessions you did, not quality.
Yeah.
And that's not
Right.
That's a losing game.
Yeah.
So I'm just burnt out working 40 hours a week. Working 40 hours a week doing a training session is crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's like you're doing a presentation
Right.
every hour. And
Yeah.
the new person comes in, you're like, can I go to the bathroom? And you're like cutting into their time.
Wow.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to like,
Muscle through.
I worked 7 days a week.
And you're smiling like forcibly through everything, and you're just like bubbly and happy. And so then what would you do after? You just go home and fucking crash and come back the next day at like 5 a.m. and do it all over again?
Yeah. I would go home in the middle of the day, eat a burger, and I would survive on coffee and scones, the most unhealthy I've ever been. But I was getting away with it. I was so young. My body was like, fine. Burger, crash, go back at night, work, get home at 9, go right to bed. And I would have immense anxiety because I was scared of like missing the first session or missing someone's thing. I blocked that out.
Yeah.
And that was 3.5 years. Like that was a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're burnt out and you're going against that and you keep pushing.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
You pushed.
I pushed.
Yeah. But listen, I mean, would you say, and this kind of is a good point to talk about this, like, what do you think was the turning point? Like, what do you think was like, if there was a day that you could say, this is when I have to change things, or you hit a wall or rock bottom and you're like, I have to find something else that fulfills me or lifts me up. Like, what was that point for you?
It didn't come till way later.
Yeah.
It was beautiful that I worked in the West Village. The West Village is a neighborhood, if you're not aware, is like immense wealth. Like all of my clients had...
You're in Gotham.
Gotham after.
After
Equinox. But just that neighborhood is like old money. These people have so much time, so much money. They have everything you could ever imagine. And like, I would get clients in their 50s or 60s who had all the money in the world but couldn't take back the time that they let their bodies go. So I was watching these people who couldn't raise their arm above their head. Wow. They couldn't put their suitcase on the plane. And these, like, they couldn't pick their grandkids up.
Right.
This is like basic life stuff. And when you're young, I was invincible. You couldn't tell me shit. Yeah. Like, I was like, that's not happening to me. But I was so confronted with this because I always thought, like, okay, when I'm successful enough, when I make enough money, then I can relax. I can relax.
Right.
And the bar just keeps getting pushed. But it was such an amazing thing for me to see and to like really interact with these people. Like I spent more time with my clients than they spent with their friends, 100%, than most of their family members, unless they live with them. Like, and I was the person that wasn't in their life, but was, so they could kind of like, so I was so connected to these people. Exactly. And I just like, I witnessed such despair and regret and all these things, and knowing that they have all the resources in the world and they don't have their physical health. They don't have their bodies functioning the way they want them to. And thank goodness that happened at such a young age, because it really put into perspective to me, like, okay, they have the same problems as I do. Like, money doesn't solve everything. And a lesson one of my teachers taught, I've done so many random things. I did Thai massage once. Okay? Yeah. This woman, Sarah, she taught me this. You need to help people get to their goals. You can't sit here and lecture them. If you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, whatever, but I'm different. And when I make enough money, it's going to be different. Right. You can't try to argue with people at that point. They can't see the world that way. What you can do as a healer, as a coach, as a helper, is to get them to their goal, only so then they can see what it is when they're there. Because you're there wherever you go. Right. I've tried to escape it. I'm always fucking there. Yeah. And so the journey and the development of yourself along the way is the thing. Yeah. So you'd say, being on the West Side, working with these people of immense wealth, generational wealth, unhappy still, not physically fit, don't have control over their body movements, all those types of things, that showed you something that you didn't want to have for yourself, and that forced you to make a change. But it didn't. It didn't force me to make a change at the time. It taught me that I wasn't striving for money anymore. Right. That's what it was. I was like, initially it was money, like. Yeah. Because it was make money, pay your rent, or you're coming home. Right. And I couldn't. Right. So I knew that, but I never felt safe enough. I made more money then training.
Yeah.
Because I had so many clients
Yeah,
than
you're
I do now. And I have so much like more abundant now.
Right.
I have so much more time. I have so much more flexibility and freedom.
Yeah.
I can actually go on a vacation and not lose my entire income. Like
Yeah.
that to me was always something I wanted to play with. And I, as you do as well, love Mexico City. I went there pre-COVID, just before COVID on this trip. And I came back and I was like, guys, like, I really want to go there and like live there. And I'm going to set up these remote sessions for us. And this is when I was private training. So I took some of my clients with me. I was making more money and like, I had a little more time, but I still wasn't happy. It wasn't there. And I was like, I have this system. We can like do your program and you can just Zoom whatever. And they were like, absolutely not. Like, you're not doing that. And so it crushed my dream to like get that like life. Like I wanted to live my life when I was young. Like I don't remember my 20s because all I did was like head down work so hard.
Yeah.
And for like the validation of others, which never came like in a really comical way. Like I wanted to prove myself to all the people I grew up with. And I would go to like these parties or whatever and they all like hung out together.
Yeah,
and so
of course.
I was this like random that would come in and no one gave a shit. Like I was like, yeah, but like look at my fancy car and my apartment in the city. And they were like, anyway. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, you're telling me I worked so hard for this and you don't even care?
Right.
Of course you don't care. Like, of course they don't care.
Right.
Because everyone just we're self-centered beings.
Right.
And you can care about yourself and about like probably like 3 to 5 other people, like
Right.
And then after that, okay, good for you. Clap, get your flowers. Like you support other people. But beyond that, and many people aren't even there. They can't get themselves to be actually genuinely happy for others, likely due to the fact that they're not doing the things that they want to do.
And they're not happy in their own situation or system.
Yeah.
So when do you think it happened? When do you think that shift, and maybe you're still in that shift right now, like maybe that shift is still happening right now where you feel like you're figuring it out for yourself and that trajectory is starting to take shape for you to actually feel fulfilled and happy and have your own kind of self-love vehicle that's not externally validated.
Yeah. Well, COVID was a blessing to my career. Like I was then able to do the thing that I always said I wanted to do. I didn't move to Mexico because I got signed to Nike.
Yeah.
Super lucky. I got casted and I submitted a casting and my friend.
I didn't realize that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was like so like elusive, the email. It was like, you need to be available this date. It was during COVID too.
Yeah.
Still, it was like.
Early COVID?
No, mid.
Okay.
Like kind of toward the end.
Yeah.
And it was like, you'll need to travel to Portland for a sports company. And I was like, what is it? I know it's in Portland. And we freaked out. And so I went on their app and I was like, I watched the workouts and I was like, oh, they don't cut. So if you like mess up a word and you're like, whatever, they left it in. So the assignment was to do a 10-minute workout. And I was like, we can't cut. Like, I need to prove to, like, hello.
Listen,
you met me.
I know the vibe. Yes.
It took us 8 hours. We didn't get it because it was like a Memorial Day or something. So we were in my building and people would run by screaming and like I would mess up hundreds of times. And so the next morning we had like a half hour in the gym and I got it. We got the thing and I got picked. And me and this other guy, Richie, we got to go and we got to be background talent. And I love being on sets. Like I love that.
No, I saw the energy of you coming in here. You're just like, oh, the lighting's good. This is where my camera goes. How's my light? You know, the whole vibe.
I love it. I love it. I just think it's so fun for like, it's like some girls talk about football teams like this. They're like, look at them. They're like high-fiving. They love each other.
Right.
Like, it's just like a group of people like for the same thing.
Yeah.
I just think it's so cool, like what we can do creatively because my job is largely not creative. So
I would say though, you are creative though.
I try. Like I do sneak it in. I do all the things.
Yeah. Listen, you've taken on sound bowls, you've taken on instruments, the way you create your space, the way you invite people in, like the way you organize everything. There is a structure, but a creative element to it for sure.
Yeah, I've had a lot of experience in things. And so it's nice to be able to curate experiences like that. But I was going to say, like, I finally felt in coaching because training is interesting. You're giving someone a plan. It is scientifically proven to work if they follow it. The training is actually getting the people to comply with the program. And a lot of times when someone has the resources, this is not everyone, but when they have the resources to hire a trainer, they mentally offload that work to the person they hired. I cannot lift the dumbbell for you.
Right.
That is not how this works. You will show up to the appointment to me because you respect me enough and you respect your own money.
Right.
But you have 23 hours outside of the session
Right.
that I'm not there.
Right.
And that's where like the frustration was just like, like I'm giving you the perfect thing. You're not listening.
Right. Yeah.
And there was no one cared enough about it. Like there was no, and that going back to that depth of me, like I'm literally like, do it. Like what? Like what? What do you mean? I'm so black and white. Like I do ice baths every day or I don't do them.
Right.
I don't drink. I stopped. One day I was like, we're done. It was like a Thanksgiving Eve. I had some bourbon. Never again. We're done. It's been 7 years. We're good. I'm just very like, how do you do something? You just do it.
Yeah.
Like there's no, things are hard. Don't get me wrong. Things are hard.
Right.
But if you're looking for support in how do I do something, that we live in an age where you can Google anything. There is a black and white plan on how to get it done. It is up to you to figure out how to get yourself to do it.
Right.
And the payoff has to be big enough. And for me, the ice bath payoff was big enough because my mental health was so overwhelming. It was so like, it pulled me out of every single thing I did. Like I was not okay, largely, but I had the face on. I'm really fine. But inside, it was, and it's hard to talk about that, especially when you have everything going for you
externally. Everyone sees the
like,
car, the apartment, whatever it is. You look great. You're feeling good, but inside you're like, I'm a fucking wreck.
Why am I here? Like, why am I doing this? This hurts so bad all the time. Like, it's hurting. And so, like, the ice to me was such an unlock because it was, well, and also context, you were my first ice bath teacher. So I went to a certification. What was it? A certification?
It was a class. I mean, we did a 2-day class. Yeah. I mean, you came to like, you know how like bands and rappers used to do like 2 albums, like the double feature, like All Eyes on Me. Like that was my double feature, All Eyes on Me, 5 hours, 2 days. Like that was what that was. So you came to 2 days of Tim Vandervliet and I basically saying and sharing anything we could share on everything we knew about wellness, breathwork, and cold.
Yeah.
So you came to like the heavy duty experience.
And that it was. And I was not happy about the fact that we were going in the ice.
Yeah.
Because it was raining.
Yeah.
And it was cold.
Yeah.
And I met this girl, Heather.
Yeah.
Immediate best friends.
Yeah.
I do this a lot.
You guys still friends? Because you guys are like homies.
Like lightly.
Right.
Like if I saw her, I would die. But like, she was so sweet. We were like, we're doing this together. We're holding it. We're doing everything together. It was so cute. But that shit changed me as a person. Doing something, and now we know more about it. This is like, everyone is talking about it, but doing something you really don't want to do, but know it's going to benefit you.
Right.
And ice is such a fast moving thing. Like
it hits hard.
It hits hard so quick. You're 3 minutes. You're so good.
Yeah.
People ask me sometimes, they're like, what should I work up to? I'm like, I literally do 3 minutes every day. Like you don't, it's not that serious. You're just doing something you don't want to do that sucks to show you that you can do anything. Yeah. And that's like, that hit me because of what it does for your nervous system. Yeah. I have been in so much therapy since that like hospitalization.
Yeah.
Ever since. Any therapy you can name, I have tried it.
Right.
And it helps. It helps a lot. Yeah. But our bodies are where we feel things, and we cannot feel our feelings through our thoughts. We cannot be logical about our feelings. They are not logical. They are inside of us. And so I had all the tools mentally to figure out how to not at everyone. Right. When in reality, did you just flinch a little?
A little bit. I was like, damn, she's coming over to the table.
No, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
It scares me sometimes. But you can't tell yourself not to do that. Yeah. It is an animalistic part of us. Yeah. And finally, I found something that calmed that down because it activated it. Yeah. And so like what I took from what you taught me, and this is how I teach ice, and this is what I need to be more vocal about, but this is like what is so key and so important to me, is that it's a purposeful stress.
Yeah.
You cannot control how stress hits you in your life.
No.
But you can purposefully put yourself in situations where you give yourself the opportunity to practice how you handle stress.
Right.
And it's in your mind and it's in your body, but it's in your nervous system.
Yeah.
And that is so cool.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a super high level piece of stress. It's not like you always tell the story about getting cut off.
Yeah,
and like, yeah, of course, in that moment, it's like the worst fucking thing in the world. But if you go into an ice bath, I always tell people this. I'm like, if you're mad at your partner, you're having trouble with money, whatever the thing is that's bothering you, you get in that ice bath and you don't think about any of that shit. Nothing comes into focus because literally you're just trying not to die.
Literally.
And that's it.
I know.
And then after you have that burst and that experience, you get out, you're like, oh, someone cut me off. Oh, I'm not going to make rent this month. Fuck it. You know, it's kind of like that, like almost like you're so dopamine filled that nothing else really hits that same way.
100%. I also tell people, I don't know if you've experienced this. This is my like coaching intel, is when people get in and it's their first time-ish and they're like, they start to like grip the tub. And they're like, they're shaking.
Yeah, you see the body tense up.
Yeah. And I always say to them, like quietly, especially if they're with a friend, they usually are. And the friend usually brought them and they don't want to be there. I go, I don't know you, but typically when this happens, it happens to the kind of people that when life comes at them, they buckle down and they don't show anything. Yeah. And that energy ends up staying in your body because it's never processed. Yeah. And they like look at me and they're like, this bitch. And then they go back and then I just leave them alone usually. Yeah. Let them want to talk and I'm like, it's totally fine. Like lean into it. Right. And then at the end, like those are the people that like need the those are the people like, where's the membership?
Right. Where do I sign up? I'll see you next week. We got one Tuesday night, Thursday night, we'll be back.
I say in the beginning, I'm like, if you don't like it, don't come back. I will not be offended. Like if you like it, you will immediately know. Yeah. You will know if this is something you need. And not everyone needs it the same way.
For sure. For sure. And it ebbs and flows. Like there's times in your life where you're like, I'm good. I don't really need it right now. And there's other times you're like, no, not me.
I don't know that personally, but I've seen it with other people.
I think, there'll definitely be a point, I think. I don't know. Everyone's different, you know, but it's good to play around with that and feel that. Yeah. And I have to say also like the space that you've created in Brooklyn and in New York, the community, like I still refer people to that experience just because it's such a high quality experience, not just in one particular fashion or another. It's just so many interesting people coming from all walks of life. Like that's the beauty of Brooklyn and New York, where anybody could be there. And it's an open space. It's a safe space. It's comfortable. It's obviously the best vibe, but you're such a great practitioner and teacher and you share the wisdom and the knowledge, but you also see people when they're in there. You really see people. You're not trying to just like, all right, let's muscle through 3 minutes. Like you really connect with. I've watched you like just coaching and guiding and like really being present with people. And it's impactful. It's like really makes a difference to have that kind of care for somebody because as you know, shit comes up when you're in there. It's bottled up. You have it all here. You're literally just getting through the day, just trying to survive, and all of a sudden you go in there and it's a mirror for all the shit that's going on underneath the surface. And whether or not you've been avoiding it, ignoring it, it's there. And here you go. Like now you're in here for a minute, 3 minutes, whatever it is. Good luck.
Totally.
It's intense.
It is.
It's really intense.
Thank you for saying that. And then I'll also say that is exactly what my purpose is. Like, that's what I've done all the training for. Yeah. That's why I know all the things about the body that I do over time. Because part of me was like, why have I spent 14 years being a trainer? Yeah. Like, why do I know that? Like, stuff. Like, what was the point of that for me? Because the connection that you can feel with someone when you get beyond the physical level into that emotional level. And it's not going to happen in the gym. The gym, lifting weights, doing workouts, it doesn't elicit that. This modality does. Yeah. And that work is so fulfilling. I could be so tired, and I am. Like, I'm so tired.
Yeah, I look at your when you first started Ice Cold Club, I used to look at the calendar. I was like, God damn, Lauren's doing a lot of workshops there, like at night, in the morning. It was like wild. But I mean, you do it.
you do it.
You show up.
And it's so energizing. Like I'll leave. I'm a little bit of an introvert, so I'll sit in my apartment, like eat something and just stare at the wall for a while. But I have a team now.
Yeah.
And so we're able to do so much more. And, and that was the main thing. Like when you get out of the ice, like you're kind of dropped a little. I'll like put you over there, but like I can't like stay with you, talk the experience.
You
and
do
now,
events 50, 60 people, 40 people. It's a lot.
We've like really toned it down.
Yeah.
I do workshops now, 20 people.
Yeah.
Because I want you out of there. Like I want you to cocoon on your couch at 8:30 and not 10 p.m. on a Thursday.
Right.
But to be able to have multiple people help and talk through like, oh, I'm nervous. Like whatever that's gonna be like that is so helpful. And so even if it's like this, to me, this is the kind of work that like I would do for free. And let me tell you,
I'm sure
a lot of it has been for free.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, honestly, you don't charge a lot for people to come. You know, I'm sure if someone hit you up like, hey, money's tight right now, you'd be like, show up, let's just go.
Literally.
You know?
Yeah. And even like girl.
Girl.
The ice expense. I want to open an ice business. If anyone's down to open an ice business,
I'm sure you can get like a sponsorship deal with like Ready Ice or something.
I need one.
Yeah.
Call me.
Yeah.
Seriously. I don't want to talk about it. I just did my accounting. But yeah, this isn't something I do for that. And I'm so lucky to have other outlets that I can safely pour just like pure energy in without having to suffocate it with like, please make me money. I need to pay rent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think all this like space and freedom you have now financially has given you an avenue to really like do that inner work that like all that stuff in your 20s, you're like, I had to make this amount, I had to have this, I had to have that. Like now it's kind of like, all right, well now you got all the shit. You're cool, you're chilling, you got the things you need on paper. Like now where is that at in your process?
That's funny. It's a good problem to have. I feel so lucky.
Yeah, I know that for sure.
But I say no to things because I'm like, no, I'd rather have my weekend than have that money. I don't value money as much as I do time. And that is something if you ever learn, will have to learn by experience. People can say that to you and you're like, yeah, but you don't know what I want. You don't know the things that I need to feel a certain way. I'm ready to like throw out my whole wardrobe and have like 3 shirts. Like I'm ready to like, who does that? Like Steve Jobs. I'm ready to like just pair like cool, but none of it makes you feel the way you have the ability to feel when you're doing something you actually care about. And if you have the opportunity in your work to get there, awesome. If you have that opportunity like volunteering or like giving your time to something to get to that feeling, you will also understand like none of it matters. Like I could fly first class with a work project and I'd be like, this is sick. This is sick. But I'm gonna go on the back of the plane to Costa Rica. I'm good. Like I'm gonna save my money. I'll just sit there and I'll like, but I'm doing the things I want. Like these like milestones or bars we set for ourselves. Like I used to I'm a big manifestor. I used to manifest only first class flights. And it's like, get on the plane. Like who cares? But to what? Like where are you going? Like are you having fun? Are you having fun? Like is it a good time actually? Or does it just look cool on the internet? Yeah. Because come on.
Do you think you're having fun now? Like would you say right now is like a time in your life like that you're having a good time and you're enjoying?
So much. Yeah. My birthday's tomorrow.
Yeah.
The 30s.
30 or 30 years?
No, 33.
No, 33? No way. No way.
Yeah, I love my 30s. I finally feel like I know myself. I'm still working on a lot of things. I always used to say this in therapy. Like, I'm like, I could build a business right here, right now, but I can't understand friendships. Like, I can't understand interpersonal relationships. Like, I didn't have like the normal development in like how I function in things. I have a really hard time with random things. And so giving myself space to like work on that and be vulnerable and not I've unlocked the anger in me, which makes me like weep all the time. I'm just like crying all the time, which is so embarrassing to me. But I'm working on not
What makes you cry these days?
Everything. I was voting, I was crying.
Yeah.
I was like, this is an amazing thing, and this guy came from his construction job, and his vote counts like mine. I'm crying all the time. I'm just in my apartment with Theo, just like bawling, like, all the time. And it's beautiful. Yeah. And just like we said, those emotions are in there. They need to get out. They need to be felt. And I don't know what they're from.
Yeah.
From who knows?
Who knows?
but they're getting felt, and
Yeah.
they're not. It's not that like.
Would you
that I
say it
used
was
to
like any form of therapy? Because you said, and I know we've talked about this before. Like
Yeah.
you've done all different types. Was there any particular avenue where you're like, this is it. This is my jam. Obviously, the cold. I know that breath work, all those things.
I'll give you two. EMDR.
Yeah.
That's becoming more popular. I did it years ago.
Yeah.
I was a new person walking
Yeah.
over there. So
it's like with the paddles, right? You hold the paddles, or I've done that.
That's nervous system.
Right.
And so I figured a lot of stuff out in that.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you like a little. This one's out there. Okay,
Yeah,
I've been doing it
please.
though. It's amazing.
Please.
Psych K.
Okay.
Psych K.
Psych K.
This woman, Mary, I do sessions with her. It is about identifying your inner beliefs. Do you know Dr. David Hawking's book, Letting Go? So that like, it's not a timeline, but it's like a scale of emotions, and where we are vibrationally is how we see the world. And so a divorce to someone who is looking forward to it can feel different.
Right.
The same divorce can feel like the most devastating thing to
Right.
another person. So things themselves do not hold meaning. We give them meaning based on how we are vibrating
Right.
and how we're feeling. And so what this work does is it, based on your logical or subconscious thinking,
Right.
you're able to understand what your belief systems are. And this individual, if you work with them, they can determine whether or not the belief that you hold is true or untrue. So I can say, I love myself. And she will say, weak. Like that's a weak belief.
Right.
And so we can go through my body and figure out, and I'm on a board with this kind of stuff. I have been for years. And my belief in it, and this is how I explain astrology to people. I'm like, if you want to believe it and use it as a tool,
Right.
incredible. If you don't believe in it, it's not for you, then let everyone do their own thing.
Right.
It's totally fine. No one's forcing you to do a thing. It's helped me immensely. I've done a couple sessions and I feel so different.
And it's challenging. Like when you're in the session, does it feel like it's work in the session? When you come out of it, you're tired. You feel like uplifted. You feel energized.
Physically tired.
Physically
because these
tired.
are things we hold in our body.
Yeah.
These beliefs.
Yeah.
And you don't know why they're there, where they're from, and you're just able to work through them. It's a little bit magic. I believe in magic.
Yeah.
And so it's been, and I'm always told, I've always been told that I'm so delusional. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Just because you haven't seen something be done doesn't mean I can't do
Right.
it.
Totally.
That's not what this is.
Totally. And you're a manifestor. I mean, you say you're writing manifestations and you make things happen. Like I remember the first time, maybe one of the first times we ever did a workshop together, we collaborated. You told me you're like, I'm going to do this thing called the Ice Cold Club. And I was like, you remember the Outkast song, What's Cooler Than Cool, Ice Cold? I was like, yeah, I remember that. I grew up with that. Of course. I'm like, yeah. And I was like, all right, that sounds like whatever, cool. Like, I guess so. And then it's like, yeah, we're going to have toads. It's going to be like super cute, da, 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 da. And I was like, okay. And like 6 months later, it's like even like you kind of undersold it to me in a way. And like, you just like make shit happen. Like that is in your DNA. And like, I can see how in some parts of your life, it's like, to the fucking moon in terms of success. And then I don't know, obviously, all the intricate details of other parts, you say relationships, friends, whatever. But like I can see how like one side of your, and I've done a numerology reading before and I do astrology, and like I can imagine, I've never been in one of your numerology or astrology readings, but like I'm sure on some side of like the spectrum or the chart, they're like, oh, you're going to have this, you're going to have that, you're going to fucking kill it. It's like anything you want to achieve, you're going to achieve professionally. I don't know what the other side of the spectrum looks like, but I could see in your numerology reading or in your astrology reading, like you're going to have whatever the fuck you want. That's not a question.
No, I
It's
have
like kind of like an observation.
First of all, shout out to Greg for naming my company because I wanted to call it something crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, Higher Self Resource Center. And he was like, girl, get away from me. We're on a hike in LA. And he was like, get away from me. And he took like 5 minutes. He turns around and he goes, what's cooler than being cool?
Oh, shout out to Greg.
Shout out to Greg.
Yeah.
Greg. Okay, so yeah, sick name. No. Like, no, my chart does not say that. My chart says like immense suffering.
Okay, yeah.
Just like,
Yeah.
you're going to go through it.
Yeah,
You're here to feel it all, baby.
Yeah, totally.
And I've been listening to a clip. I read an article. It was a TikTok, okay? So it said something about if you ask to be strong, what you're going to receive are experiences that will help you build strength by
So
breaking
challenges,
you down.
yeah. So it's gonna rock you.
No one comes into this world just like
Yeah.
with all of these qualities built up.
Yeah.
The way you build them is through the opposite of them occurring to you and you
Through
choosing.
suffering. Yeah.
It's your choice.
Yeah.
And I think that is what bumps me up against other people because
Yeah.
very few people feel this way. Very few people are like, yeah, done. Like, said you're going to do it.
Right.
Like, absolutely.
Right.
Like, there's no stopping me. And so when other people get involved, I'm very inflexible. I have a very hard
Yeah.
time being like, okay,
Yeah,
totally go over there. Like,
Yeah,
when
yeah, yeah.
I do really well
Yeah.
in duos. Like, I have a lot of best friends.
Yeah.
Single
I've
best
seen
friends.
that. I've
Because
seen
it's like,
that.
you can just, you're at my birthday party.
Yeah.
You can just like, you talk and like one person says something, the other person,
Yeah.
you're good.
And you know when the vibe is right, when it matches up well. And if
Literally.
it doesn't, it's like, see you later.
Literally.
It's like that day at the workshop, the 2-day. It was like you and her
Yeah.
connected at that
Yeah, I was
level.
like, we're perfect. We're great. I'm also a reflector in human design, which means that
Oh, funny. I've never really even heard of the reflector.
design. Oh, yeah.
No, I know the human design.
they're so rare.
Yes.
There's 1% of the population
Okay.
is reflectors. And so we take in our surroundings, like environmentally, but mostly people. And so I like to think that I've never said this out loud, but if you don't like me, you probably don't like yourself because
Right.
I'm just going to be you. Like I'm with
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to be you.
Yeah.
Like, and I do that in funny ways. Like I'll be so nice to like workers, like people. And if,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, people have bad days, but listen, I'm not going to be
Right.
sweet. If
Yeah.
you tell me you're like, this guy threw ice at me the other day. He was getting a drink. And
Damn.
I don't drink. So I'm like fully there. I'm always like there, cognizant. And he
Wait,
like,
he threw.
he had the cup of water and we were like, can we get ice? And he had the little thing and he put the ice in, but he went like, Ch-. And so it like flung on me. And I was like, bet. I was like, cool, you're done. I was like, we're going to act this way to each other. Like, that's what it is. And I'm still working on myself.
Yeah, listen.
I like to say, like, I'm like, if you know me in real life, like, I'm way better than Miss who used to yell at cars, but I'm just here. Like, and then if you're like, that hurt my feelings. If you were to be like, why are you being mean to me? I'm having a really hard day. I would start crying. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not
Right.
like, it's not just one way
Yeah,
with
yeah,
me.
yeah,
The other
totally.
side of the coin is totally there. And he was like, if he said he was going through a breakup, I would sob. I would be
Yeah.
like, I'm so sorry.
Right,
Like,
right. Yeah,
Like,
totally.
that's just who I am.
Yeah.
And so it's just intensity. But if you're being this way, I will
You'll
meet
match it.
you. And that can be really exhausting.
Yeah.
But it's also, like really beautiful when I am around people that like fuck with themselves heavy.
Yeah,
Like I
totally.
love people that love themselves. I
Yeah.
think it's so cool. Like I'm
Yeah.
so down. Yeah.
And there's no competitive like energy there. It's just like, let's just fucking have a good time. Let's do our thing. Let's not like,
If it's not brushing up against my insecurity, I have a hard time. I was that girl that was like, I have guy friends. I don't like girls. Like,
yeah.
okay, that's because you don't work on things in yourself
Right.
that you watch other people do, and it makes you feel insecure because you can't tap into that yourself.
Right.
And so it's taken a lot of vulnerability, and I have some like really amazing girlfriends that I can actually say that to.
Yeah.
We've had to like tumble
Yeah.
emotionally about
Yeah.
it for sure, but it's really nice to be like, I feel really bad that I'm not happy for you right now. And
Yeah.
it's my fault. Like I'm watching you do this thing and I don't think I'm capable of doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm choosing not to do it. And it makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
I want everyone to win. There's room.
There's room.
Oh, there's so much room.
Is it
There's-
hard? Because like there's times, I mean, legit, like I was watching the NBA playoffs and you're on a fucking Hennessy commercial. Like I'm literally watching the NBA playoffs. I'm like, oh, there's Lauren Schramm on my fucking TV. That's cool. And like I text you, I'm like, okay, what the fuck's going, like what is
Yeah.
this? Like, and like it is like amazing to see that level of success. Like on some, obviously it's an external success. Like do some of your friends or some of your people in your orbit, is that hard for them, you think, on some level to see you shine in that way?
Well, that was my friend. It wasn't me.
Okay.
It was Alex. And me and her the relationship I was thinking about when I was telling you, there was friction.
Yeah.
And she is so inspiring. She's so cool. She's the one that did that Nike recording for me.
Okay, cool.
She's just like such like a strong presence.
Yeah.
And in many ways, we meshed, and then in some ways that were fully my insecurities, we clashed, and we actually didn't speak for 2 years. Like there was a period of time. We're back to being besties. It's great. But sometimes that has to happen, and like there is a certain type of person that you can discuss the tribulations that come with success to. It's not someone that is still on the up and up, because they don't want to hear that, oh, you're complaining about this.
Right,
like,
of course.
You have everything I think I want. And it's never that. And so having people who inspire me and are like more successful than me, which is a lot of people, it's like having them as individuals in my life that I can really talk to and be honest with is so important, because for a lot of time, I was just like, I can't say anything to anyone. I can't complain. Right. Look at all of this. Like, and it's not complaining, but you need to work through things sometimes with people. And so having people like that is so important.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes like a dust up or an issue with a friend and like stepping away from the relationship, coming back to that person, be like, I miss you. Let's work this out. Let's actually like talk this thing out and like get on a page where we can actually be in each other's lives.
And again. I love that. Like, you can forgive. This is hard. You can acknowledge in yourself that you can grow, but it's so hard for us to acknowledge that other people can do the same.
Yeah.
We're like, but like they're the worst. Like they'll never change. But like, haven't you changed? Are you the same person you were when you were 14?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So why can't we give the grace to people that we met them in an era of their life that like didn't mesh with us, but they're not bad.
Right.
They're trying their best and they're doing it in the way that they know.
That's right.
That's tough. But
I think most people are trying their best.
Yeah.
And like they're going through shit. Everyone's going through their things and they're experiencing things at their own rate. So you have to kind of give them some grace along with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought back too, like when we were after the 2-day that you came to and you used to come out to Brooklyn to the Fire and Ice days with Lindsay and Josh, you just show up solo. You'd be like super chill, super quiet. It was like, it was a very vulnerable space to do that. Because we were outside. It was fucking cold out most of the time. We had a sauna, and the sauna was really hot, and the cold was really cold. And it was really just about people that wanted to like do this hard fucking thing together anonymously on some level.
Well, I will credit that confidence of being with myself to my sobriety. Like I was sober. Are you good at math? What's 7? 33 minus 7? 26. I was just testing you. Just kidding. Sometimes I'm not good at mental math. So 26. I was 26 when I stopped drinking. So it was still that age where it was like, come on, I never see you. Have a drink.
Yeah.
And I just chose to be like, nope, like I don't do this. And when you don't do that, you know how fucking scary it is to be out with people that are like,
especially at that age,
social, like lubricant that it gives you. Like, be like, oh, okay. And so I told you I'm not outgoing by nature. And so I was already trying. And then I would go to all of these like influencer events when I was younger. And it was like, I would go by myself. I didn't have many friends when I was training, period.
Right.
That was my whole life, right?
Right. And also you said you're rubbing everyone wrong at the Equinox.
20 enemies. Yeah. So I'm just at these things.
It's a hyper-competitive environment too. So
it's such a disappointment because you're like pinned up against the people that are supposed to be your peers. Like, of course you can't get along. Like, people, it's very weird. But I would show up to these things and I would be like, okay, I would do my EMDR lady taught me to do my like power position. Right? I would do this. And then I would just be like, oh my God. I would go to another girl who was alone and I would be like, oh, what drink did you get? Like, do you think they have a mocktail? Like, oh my God, where'd you get your skirt?
I can't even like imagine. I mean, I am imagining it. You're doing it well, but like, I can't like it's.
Well, it was acting.
Yeah, I know. I hear that. I hear this voice you're putting on. It's not your fucking voice.
Not my voice.
It's somebody else.
It's not my voice because I don't think I'm a very like welcoming face. I'm very good when I'm hosting an event. I'm like, I am. Check in with me.
Totally. Yeah. Notepad, whistle. You know.
Yeah. And I love to make people feel comfortable. But if I'm just like floating around, I'm like, who do I see?
Right. Yeah. Let me latch on.
Yeah. And I think like just learning that you don't die. Like Shavasana, like this is a thing I've been saying at ICE lately. And people like, they have a little visceral reaction to it, which I understand. But when I was taught yoga in the teacher training, Shavasana is a practice death. You're laying there and you're practicing what it's going to feel like to just not be anymore. And so like I knew that. And then when I think about ice, it's like, yeah, your body doesn't know you're doing this on purpose.
Right.
It thinks you're dying.
Right.
And that's why you get the dopamine and that's why
Yeah.
you get the endorphin hit, because it gives up at some point and
Right.
you go numb and it has to protect your organs.
Right.
Literally, I'm like, your body thinks you're gone.
Right.
And so and this is like, I don't mean to make light of this feeling, and I have felt this my entire life, but being someone who moves into being suicidal pretty regularly, I can tell you that that kind of work and like practicing with yourself to experience like, okay, I'm giving it all up, because it's a hard thing for me. For me, the way it manifests is I can't feel this amount of pain anymore. I don't want to feel it, and I don't know how to fix it. There's no fixing it. And it's like when I'm in that state, here's normal, we're here, and then something happens and I'm here. And I'm like, everything's going wrong. And my brain, it's brain chemistry, right?
Yeah.
My brain is not my friend, and it's telling me like, you're done. Like there's no coming back from this.
Yeah.
And if I were to sit and like list out my problems, like a healthy brain would be like, what do you mean? It's okay. Like you're just in a whatever, in a transition, in a lull, it's okay.
Yeah.
But reminding myself like, and this is like kind of my superpower too, to be like, what? Are you going to kill me?
Right.
What? I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to go there, because
Totally.
I go there. I go there. I don't mean to, but I think like part of my experience here is like being able to feel that low so that I can help others down there.
Right.
And pull myself out of it. And
Yeah.
in the pulling out, I can grab everyone else along the way.
Right.
And we can feel better. Because what are you doing?
Right.
Like, that's all we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're just follow the good feelings.
Right.
And it will bring you to a place that is probably what you think your ultimate goal feels like.
Right.
And it doesn't.
And it'll help you on the low points later on, because their low points are coming.
They're coming. They're never going to stop.
They're not going anywhere.
Nope.
So if you have a little bit more armor or wherewithal to deal with it and adapt, and you're putting yourself in the most extreme case right there.
Yeah. The resilience. I love using that word.
Yeah.
You just have that where you're like, yeah, it's happening. What am I gonna die from this? Probably not. And if so, take me. Like what happened recently? I feel like this on roller coasters.
Yeah.
I'm going on the roller coaster tomorrow.
So Lauren's spending her 33rd birthday at Six Flags.
Yes.
You know, how many roller coasters in a day can you do?
I don't know. I'm actually getting nervous now that we're talking about this. I don't like it, but I love it.
Of course. Yeah. It's like the ice bath.
Literally.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah. It's just, I love to feel like immensely. And so that's what I feel like I'm here to help people get into, and like get out of your head, and like you can't be anywhere but your head when you're walking around here. I don't walk around the city very often. Yeah. I like have created quite a bubble for my life. Yeah. When people are like, New York's a lot, I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. Like I don't do that. And it's a lot, and you have to like condense your aura. Yeah. And you have to like hold your energy in.
Protect your energy.
You do.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It's hard to get out of that. You don't go home at the end of the workday after doing that for 5 years and just go, ah. And I tell people, I'm like, if you are watching TV to like chill out, and you're like, oh, writing a to-do list, and you're ordering groceries, and you're on TikTok, and you're not in your parasympathetic nervous system, like guaranteed. And so I feel like living in New York, these are the people I love helping, because we need it the most.
Yeah, totally.
We need it. And I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you understand it.
Yeah. I choose not to participate.
Yeah. I mean,
only
listen,
for this.
It's smart though. I mean, listen, and I appreciate you obviously coming on and talking about all this stuff and being vulnerable. It's not easy, I'm sure. And, you know, I think your story though, and like the way you carry yourself, and like the types of people that are coming to Ice Cold Club, like the fact that you're real and like you're yourself and you're authentic and you're coming through with that, like that's why people keep coming back, and they have that honest moment with you, that like honest exchange when they're in the ice, when they get out, and they're like, you remember your first time. I kind of remember your first time going in. You think you're going to fucking die. Yeah. Like legit. Like,
no, I was like, don't leave.
Brandon felt like he was going to die when he came to Ice Cold Club. Like that's just part of it. But like you authentically connect with them in that moment, and you make them feel safe in a way that I hope we made you feel when you came. And then you keep coming back and you start to figure out like how you respond to that high level intense stress. And then you eventually get to a place where you're like, all right, I'm managing this huge dose here. Let's try to bring some of those tools into like the fucking jungle.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm working right now toward helping people understand that it needs to be a regular practice for it to work. You can't go to the gym once a month and expect to see results.
Yeah.
This is the same. I always like to volunteer that cold showers are just as effective.
Totally.
And the breath works just as well.
Yeah.
In addition, but that buy-in for people, it's tough. And I hope that in me, like,
especially as the weather starts to shift and it gets colder out.
Yeah, but you know how easier it is to go in the ice?
Totally, yeah.
When it's cold out.
And
You're already
also,
like standing there and you're like, this sucks. And
it changes your perspective too on the weather.
Yeah.
Like I used to hate the fucking cold or not like it. And then I started doing ice baths. I'm like, this is fine. I can wear light jacket.
Yeah, yeah. I just want, I don't know. I feel like there's so many things on your to-do list of wellness and you can't do everything in a day.
Yeah.
You spend your whole day. And trust me, I have days that I can spend doing whatever the hell I want. And I will be like, read my book, check. Talk to someone. Like I literally have
I remember the intake form for our conversation. I can imagine what the internal lists and things are.
But you're not going to get to everything every day. And like you're going to, there's a million things to do. And
what
you
are
need
your non-negotiables?
I have too many to
All right.
give as advice. My advice would
For
be
you,
to pick
like
one mind, one body, and one soul thing.
Okay.
I've heard this before. It's not my original idea, but something for your mind, something for your body, and something for your soul.
Okay.
And so,
what are you doing for your soul these days?
I've been journaling a lot.
Yeah.
I really like writing. I have an iPad and I got this screen protector that makes it feel like notebook paper. And I'm on journal like number 3. I'm like,
wow. You're just like, it's just coming out. And listen, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You're having like these emotional releases. You're getting upset in the line to go vote. Like there's stuff that needs to come out right now.
Yeah. And I feel like when I'm overwhelmed in the moment, it helps me to like organize my thoughts, obviously. But like, I'm just like, oh, just sit down for 10 minutes and just write. And I think that that's something you can do like on your phone in the subway.
You do it first thing in the morning. You do it
whenever.
At night.
I don't like to give myself structure.
Yeah.
No.
I hear you. I hear you.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a robot. We're not here to do that. We're here to like, you feel, this is my main thing with movement right now.
Yeah.
And I've done all these things for myself over the years. I know what to do.
Yeah.
And if I follow a strict program, I'm not going to adhere to it.
Yeah.
And then I will feel bad about myself. And why am I making myself feel bad about myself?
Yeah, totally.
Why am I setting myself up for failure?
Yeah.
And so now what I do is I have a bucket. I have a bucket system. Movement bucket is anything that counts as movement. My walk today is my movement. And if I don't do anything at the end of the day, it's a 10-minute stretch from my bed. That counts. That counts just as much as a 60-minute gym workout for me. And I have never been healthier or more fit in my freaking life.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Because I'll tell you, I wouldn't do that stretch at the end of the night if I didn't think this way. If I thought you are such a failure, because, and this is my poor self. I try not to talk to myself.
Yes, I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
but that's honest. It's real. I mean, that's how people talk to themselves.
100%, me included.
When you journal, is it like that voice? Is it that like harsh, like you didn't fucking do this today? All right. That's kind of sometimes. I've been in that zone with the journaling where I'm like, get the fuck off the couch, you lazy bitch. Like it's not productive.
No, it's not. Sometimes you have to get it out though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it's more chill though. And it's just like, just do something.
Yeah.
What do you feel like doing?
Yeah.
And that's my thing with these trackers, these fitness. I have a ring on. Like I absolutely like I think it's interesting. But people that wake up and they're like, how did I sleep? You freaking know how you slept.
Totally.
Think about it for 1 second before you check your score.
Yeah.
It's like we have all this technology, all these tools, like they can help. They can be a really good way to like monitor over time. But like if you lose your connection to your intuition, what are you doing?
Right.
Like we're here to feel. That's what VR pisses me off. I was on the bridge today walking and I was like, this is like a VR game. And I was like, bitch, you're in your body. You're really here. Like you're here. And we're trying to like make it so you could be anywhere. But guess what? You could be anywhere.
You could be anywhere.
Get on a fucking plane. Like you could do anything. And so I think like the more I'm grateful for like every day that I'm here, because I'm like, where am I going to go? Like, what am I going to do next? I feel more like fluid just in my life. And I don't feel like attached to something. I don't feel like my grip to life is kind of like
loosening.
Which is nice because my hands are hurting.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, like remember that like sunny morning you took Theo on the bridge. Like I'm like being grateful for what's happening in the moment now. And I'm able to see like, someone would really love this. Like they would love to be able to walk over the Williamsburg Bridge, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, why
Somebody
don't I?
would do that once and never forget that for the rest of their life.
Yes.
Like, that would be like their New York moment.
Exactly. And so why is that not the same way I feel about every single thing I do?
Yeah. What do you do for, and this, we could end on this. What do you do for fun right now? Like, what do you do for play or enjoyment? Like, what's the thing that there's no stakes or goals? It's just you doing you and having a good time. Obviously, I know Six Flags is tomorrow, which will be a playtime, but like, do you like play basketball still? Do you, you know, anything in particular right now?
Okay. I'm so structured. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
My fun right now is sucking at running.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
not a good runner.
Yeah.
I am a sprinter by athleticism. Like sprint.
I got it.
Like I'm like 110 hurdles. Done.
Damn.
But yeah, I'm running 12-minute miles.
Wow.
And run walking, and I'm posting about it on the internet, and everyone's being so
What,
supportive.
like on TikTok or
TikTok?
TikTok? Is that what they call it? Kids call it these days?
Yeah. I think my mom calls it that. I posted a reel today, and I was like, fuck it. Like, here's my 12-minute mile. Like, I jokingly wrote, like, I'm like obviously an athletic unit in other ways. Like,
yeah, of course.
Kidding, but not. Like, be for real. Be confident about the things you know. Like, I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
Period. So like, fight me. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So running though is a different beast.
Yeah, no, it's a different animal.
It's embarrassing to not be good at something for me. And so I'm working on that, and I'm like showing the process. Like no one cares. Like I have a social media coordinator, Elena. She's like, everyone wants to see you build. No one cares if you just pop out and you're like, look at this beautiful
Right. I'm
thing.
already fucking killing it like a gazelle out here on this run.
You're humanizing yourself by showing that like you struggle, you suck at things. And I'm not advocating for like crying on the internet and having your emotion. Like where there's an
avenue, yeah.
But for this feels like a way that I feel weird that I can't run a mile. Like I can't. I'm stopping in the first mile. I'm not there yet. And I have all these friends in this community in New York. The running is so
intense.
big.
Yeah.
And it's like I have all these people that are like, come run with us. And I'm like, I literally can't.
We're not there yet.
But I'm going to try. Like, and I'm actually going to try. And I'm going to hold myself
like
accountable.
Run club culture. And like, I mean, you got the crew for it.
I know. I have like so many friends that have their own, like so sick.
Yeah.
I just think it's amazing for people
They're
to
probably like, oh shit, Lauren's going to push out her own run club. She's going to do the Ice Cold Club run club thing.
I'll leave that to someone else. If anyone wants to start that, let me know.
Fair enough.
I'm down. But yeah, it's just, I'm so not like an unstructured play person. I'm like, I'll teach myself, like COVID, I taught myself the Rubik's Cube. Like, that's what I do. I'm just, I'm so serious, and that's fine. And if you're an unserious person, we can totally chill.
Right.
But like, I'm never going to be like you. It's just not who I am.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
Just not it. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
All right, so running, cool.
We're having fun sucking.
Nice. Good for you.
Thank you.
Anything you want to plug or promote? I know, obviously you got Ice Cold Club. Anything else beyond that right now?
I'm in an uncomfortable yet open state to what's coming next.
Yeah.
There's many things that could happen, and I don't know which one is going to, and I'm not one to force things. And so we'll see what happens, and you'll know.
That's a fun space to, it's scary. It's definitely scary to be in that space, but it's fun. It's that's where like the growth.
It's where the growth happens. I'm not going to die. No. Like that's what it is.
That's what it comes down to.
I'm eating, and I have a house, and I have a cute little puppy, and I have these people in my life that I can call upon, and I'm so good. I don't need another thing. And so that is the place where I can explore and be like, what's next?
Cool.
Yeah.
Any cool trips planned?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm going to LA next week, and then I'm going to Miami and Costa Rica.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
A ton of trips.
Let's
How about
do it. New York right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to Joshua Tree. I got a retreat coming up in December. So I'm going to be leading a retreat in the desert.
The vortex.
The energetic vortex. I've never been.
A lot there.
It's a lot. It's intense.
You're going to love it. Yeah.
I'm bringing a sound healer who matches like the intensity, I think, on some level. I met her in Tulum. Her name is Alessandra Montana, and she is like, the first sound bath we did, or sound ceremony, whatever you want to call it, was in a cenote cave. Whoa. That like only maybe like dozens of people have ever been inside. So literally like the walls are crystallized. There's like, rocks hanging from the ceiling. I mean, it was, and the water was like crystal clear blue. And we literally, she carried her instruments with another guy, and it was like 6 of us. It was my first retreat I led in Tulum.
Okay.
And we did the sound healing in there, and it felt like you're on Mars.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're doing that in December.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'll be so fun.
I'm excited.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.